Alright guys, so I haven't done this in a while and I know you guys want a continuation to this series. So in today's video guys, I'll be going for the top suggestions in the Gizmotech Discord server of the most wanted updates in War Tycoon, and this is going to be the part 10. It's nice to do something like this for the brand new year, so I feel like doing something like this as kind of a new year special. Anyway, let's just actually go ahead and jump into the latest suggestion at which we ended. So the first one is to add the Tossone, the heavy flamethrower system that use thermobaric missiles. That is actually really interesting. I feel like just having more flamethrower systems will be cool. Speaking of yesterday, we haven't really got any info on will we ever get any flamethrowers into the game, which is unfortunate, but this will be a cool vehicle. I just don't know how they would balance it. Anyway, the next suggestion over here is upgrade the M1 to the M1A2 SEP V2. So yeah, I would actually like them to upgrade the Abrams system or either just buff it. I really don't mind whichever they do. I mean, always upgrading a vehicle is going to be cooler than buffing it because it would feel like you're using a completely new vehicle, but I feel like just going ahead and adding something like this, I will be all for it. It's one of my personal favorites. Alright, so the next suggestion over here which we have here is please change the cooldown of the daily rewards and spin to win from 24 hours to 23 hours. This will make it more flexible for people to claim daily rewards. I'm actually not as much for this idea, and the reason being is because the 24 hours people can always make a schedule to do something like this every single day, but making it for 23 hours, it just kind of pushes the times either forward or backward, and it's actually kind of annoying for people to have to make times every single day. Okay, so the next suggestion over here is replace the all boring binoculars in the game with a laser ranger finder binoculars that can tell you how far an object is while aiming at it with the crosshair. Yeah, I would actually really like this a lot, and the reason being is because once again, it would make the game more realistic, but it will also make the game a lot more fun, and overall the looks of this are much better than what we have right now, because the current binoculars, they pretty much have no use. We can literally use snipers to see from far range, or binoculars pretty much just give us nothing. Alright, so the next suggestion over here is buff the Leopard 2A7. It has only 1400 health, which makes absolutely zero sense because it is a German MBT. It has literally less health than a light tank like the PLO1, and then the suggestion goes is to buff the health to at least 1600. I mean, honestly, the Leopard itself, or the Leopard, however you guys want to call it, is actually kind of useful as of now in the current meta because of the fact that you guys can literally just spawn it in for one part each. However, the amount of health that it has, I mean, I guess it kind of balances it out, but at the same time, people would like the Leopard to be better than it is right now. So I guess that's a pretty okay suggestion. Alright, so once again, there are more suggestions to add more French vehicles into the game, and once again, I am all for it, because recently the developers have been adding a lot more American and Russian vehicles, which is completely fine to be totally honest, but we haven't really received that much of the French. We only got the VCSC Mephisto, and then I'm not sure what else we got. It seems like that's the only one I was able to notice. But yeah, we don't have much of this, so I would like them to maybe add a custom artillery system for the French. I don't know, we'll just have to see in the future. Anyway, the next thing here is fix the physics, like you hit or touch the water by a 1mm with a vehicle and it basically just kills you and explodes you. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like in real life, planes are actually able to land on water, but again, implementing Roblox's physics into it would also be interesting. I feel like the only good thing that they could do for this is to just make it the same as the ground vehicles. Like for example, when we go into water with the ground vehicles, they don't explode, they pretty much just fall in the water and we're not able to use them. So doing something like this for the planes will be good. It will probably be the most easiest way to do it, but at the same time, if they want to make it really good and actually allow us to land on water and kind of push our vehicle forwards, I guess that could also work, but it will be much harder to implement. Alrighty, so the next thing which we have over here is add a controllable Flurs, because people are kind of tired of being baited and they would like to have kind of like a limit of Flurs that they could use on each aircraft, or be able to use them much more competitively or better. Because right now, I actually completely agree with this, because the Flurs of course do have a cooldown of, I believe, 8 to 10 seconds-ish or something like that, and the person can just bait you with one missile and then you're pretty much just done unless you go ahead and run away. So I feel like just being able to control the Flurs would be better in a sense when you're using helicopters and planes, but at the same time, I feel like it would start to become unbalanced if the people can just pretty much get rid of all of your missiles. Alright, so the next suggestion over here is to go ahead and change the design of the Scarl, because this one isn't fully accurate. I mean, whatever the community says, I don't know that much about the likes of the Scarl, but if the people say that it's not as accurate, then yeah, I think it will be good to make this change just to fill it a little bit. Alright, so here is a suggestion to kind of replace this vehicle with a C4 Dynamite. I gotta say, I could agree with this. This is a little bit goofy, but at the same time, when I do think about it, I say it's a cool feature. It's not super, like, it doesn't feel super realistic, and it's not something that people would use this much in war. I guess it can be used, like, from time to time. We do see something like this in movies, but other than this, I guess this is a cool addition, but I feel like having more kind of drones in the game, or having more grenades in the game which are more realistic, would also work. Okay, so the next suggestion over here is add night vision for the 2x helmet, and this one I can actually talk about a lot. I feel like the 2x helmet doesn't really have anything standing for it except the fact it does look insanely cool, but if I'll be completely real with you, it costs exactly the same amount as the World War II armor, which also has the what's it called, the M1 Garand gun, which is actually a lot better than having the likes of a helmet which we have here for the same price. So just given this night vision while looking cool, I would be all for it, to be honest, because I'm kind of tired of the night vision goggles. They don't even look that good either. They're just usable, really. Alright, so there is the next suggestion on who wants the Molotov. Molotov will be really cool to have in the game, and I feel like introducing something like this either would not be this difficult, because they already have a mechanic for the likes of the napalm bombs, so they pretty much could use the fire from the napalm bombs for the Molotov itself, and that would be pretty easy to implement, I believe that is. But again, it's down to see what the developers are gonna do. I really hope they're gonna be adding something like this. We all would like to have a Molotov. It's a really cool thing to add. Alright, so here's the next suggestion, is show username of the person that already claimed the base, and this is a pretty neat quality of life change, because let's say if you guys are not voice calling with your friend and you want to just play with them in War Tycoon, you can't really tell what base they're gonna go, but by just seeing what base they are, it's much easier to just plant your base next to theirs. I would really like something like this. It's a very neat change. Alright, so the next suggestion over here is adding a landing craft which could carry around 2 Humvees or just 1 tank. I feel like just any transport ship would be really cool to have in the game. Like, man, we really do want this, and I feel like the only way to make it work around the current Roblox mechanics to implement something like this is just add an attach button. Let's say we could attach a tank by just like holding E, for example. I feel like that's the only reasonable way we could make something like this work, but again, the physics behind it and just balancing this out would just take a little while, to be honest. Alright, so there is a next suggestion, is add a new sniper scope which you guys could actually go ahead and adjust the zoom. Yeah, because right now the zoom is I mean, it's pretty much almost the same as a lot of stuff in the game, like any other Roblox game. The zoom seems to be always the same, but just actually making it more realistic and being able to adjust it as much as you like would make it a lot cooler and actually give you guys a lot more room for the likes of quick scoping at long range as well, because some of the scopes, it's very hard to quick scope at long range. But yeah, I really like this. Alrighty, so next up we have ourselves reworking the M1 Gar Scope. Oh man, the M1 Garand, to be totally honest, it has some of the worst scopes in the game. It pretty much just gives me the feeling of the Springfield. Like, for example, the car is better in the Springfield because it has better scope and they're just 2 the same weapons, and then the M1 Garand kind of has exactly the same feeling because the scope is actually so hard to aim with. You guys will basically have to fire from hip fire, which is a little annoying. Anyway, the next thing we have over here is to make the B29 Spawn in front of the hangar, and like the V22. I'm sorry, but that's probably never going to be happening, but at the same time, taking off with the B29 bomber has been unfortunately incredibly difficult. Even when I go ahead and land with it but then want to take off with it is the main problem I've been facing as well. I feel like it has some glitch mechanics and physics behind it, so having to fix this would be the top priority for sure. Alright, so there is a next quality of life feature where people want to have the likes of the Despawn thing being removed by settings. So basically we would not be able to see this. I mean, I guess if you guys want to take cinematic pictures, that's the only time it's really going to be mattering, but other than this, I don't feel like there's that much point in it, but I feel like it will be pretty easy to introduce anyway. Alright, so the next suggestion over here is add the ability to free cam on planes, because it would give much more quality to the dogfights and etc. into the planes, but also the helicopters. Yeah, I think that will be something really cool, but to be totally honest, they would have to introduce more camera systems, or they could just make it for VIP servers that you guys are able to kind of do this. I feel like it would be nice perk for VIP servers, but at the same time, more people do want to just be able to do this on their own. Anyway, that is probably all the suggestions I'm gonna have for today. This is where we're gonna be ending. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the suggestions. And by the way, yesterday, Kronos has posted an announcement for some of the questions that haven't been answered in the Q&A. They will be answered in devlog, but you guys will have to leave it under the Google Doc. So if you guys have any questions for the devs, then make sure to leave them there. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to all my channel members.